Hello all. Welcome to another Hawker Reads Live with Annabelle the Angel. Welcome back or welcome to another video. It's been a few days. You girls been busy. What can I say? I've been really busy. So yes, I don't have a usual time. I don't have a usual time when I post these. I come on here when I have the time and ability to, okay? So in today's episode, we are reading 48 Laws of Power by Mr. Robert Greene himself. We are on Law 20. Now, if this is your first one and you're coming to, hey, if this isn't and you want to go see some other ones, there is a playlist. It's called Hot Girl Reads. And yeah, subscribe if you vibe. So let's get into it. This is Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. Judgment. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another, making them pursue you. Guys, love it. Okay, part 1. Do not commit to anyone, but be courted by all. If you allow people to feel they possess you to any degree, you lose all power over them. By not committing your affections, they will only try harder to win you over. Stay aloof, and you gain the power that comes from their attention and frustrated desire. Play the virgin queen. Give them hope, but never satisfaction. Observance of the law. When Queen Elizabeth I ascended to the throne of England in 1558, there was much to do about her finding a husband. The issue was debated in Parliament and was a main topic of conversation among Englishmen of all classes. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the live. And I'm doing great, guys. I'm really doing amazing. Okay. They often disagreed as to whom she should marry, but everyone thought she should marry as soon as possible, for a queen must have a king, and must bear heirs for the kingdom. The debates raged on for years, and meanwhile the most handsome and eligible bachelors in the realm, Sir Robert Dudley of the Earl of Essex, Sir Walter Raleigh, vied for Elizabeth's hand. She did not discourage them, but she seemed to be in no hurry, and her hints as to which man might be her favorite often contradicted each other. In 1566, Parliament sent a delegation to Elizabeth, urging her to marry before she was too old to bear children. Ooh, not in this days and age. IVF. Sorry. She did not argue, nor did she discourage the delegation, but she remained a virgin nonetheless. The delicate game that Elizabeth played with her suitors slowly made her the subject of innumerable sexual fantasies and the object of cultish worship. The court physician Simon Forman used his diary to describe his dreams of deflowering her. Oh my God. This is getting... painters represented her as Diana and other goddesses. The poet Edmund Spenser and others wrote eulogies to the Virgin Queen, who was referred to as the world's empress, the virtuous Virgo. Oh, that's where Virgo comes from? From Queen Elizabeth. Love my Virgos. My Virgos. Let me know if you're a Virgo. Do you remember me? My name is Taliba in the previous podcast. I think, yes, I do. Sorry, it's been a few weeks. So much stuff has happened. Hi, Taliba. And when it says the Arabic in the side, that's usually how I remember, like, the things. But anybody who tells me their name 2 times, I remember 2 times, okay? So, Taliba... Thank you for remembering. Yes. And I love that. Where is that Sorry, where's that icon from? That picture. Let me know. Is that like a show or something? Okay. Sorry, I still need to like see. My font on my phone is literally the smallest font. I love everything like on my phone super tiny. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, so shout out to my Virgos. That virtuous Virgo who rules the world and sets the stars in motion. In conversation with her and her many male suitors would employ bold sexual innuendos, a dare that Elizabeth did not discourage. She did all she could to stir their interest and simultaneously keep them at bay. Throughout Europe, kings and princes knew that marriage with Elizabeth would seal an alliance between England and any nation. The King of Spain wooed her, and as did the Prince of Sweden and the Archduke of Austria. She politely refused them all. She said, bye. The great diplomatic issue of Elizabeth's day was posed by the revolt of the Flemish and Dutch lowlands, which were the possessions of Spain. Should England break its alliance with Spain and choose France as its main ally on the continent, thereby encouraging Flemish and the Dutch independence? By 1570, it had come to seem that the alliance with France would be England's wisest course. France had two eligible men of noble blood, the Dukes of Anjou and Alencon, brothers of the French king. Would either of them marry Elizabeth? Both had advantages, and Elizabeth kept the hopes of both alive. The issue simmered for years. The Duke of Anjou made several visits to England, kissed Elizabeth in public. Where's your nice dog? She's actually on the couch right now eating a little bone. So like I have this bone that she has to work on, and guys, if you have a dog, getting them stuff that they can bite on and it takes them a long time to like bite on and stuff, it's just it's good. It's good. It gives you a break. My dog is very, very clingy. So right now she's working on this treat. The treats are in the middle and like the rest of the bone is on the outside. So, but she's very strategic. She knows how to get these things out. So she's on the couch minding her business, and she loves to like listen to me read to her. It's really cute. It's really cute. Where was I? Kissed Elizabeth in public and even called her by pet names. I think I'm gonna have to make tea after this. Okay. She appeared to requite his affections. Meanwhile, as she flirted with the two brothers, a treaty was signed that sealed peace between France and England. By 1582, Elizabeth felt that she could break off the courtship. In the case of the Duke Anjou in particular, she did so with great relief. For the sake of diplomacy, she had allowed herself to be courted by a man whose presence she could not stand and whom she found physically repulsive. Once peace between France and England was secure, she dropped the unctuous Duke as politely as she could. Ooh! By this time, Elizabeth was too old to bear children. She was accordingly able to live the rest of her life as she desired, and she died the Virgin Queen. She left no direct heir, but ruled through a period of incomparable peace and cultural fertility. Period. Shout out to Queen Elizabeth. Period. Aw, thank you. Oh, it's okay. It's okay to leave, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I pick up right as where I left off. And thank you, Mad Dog. You were so sweet. Okay, now let's get into the interpretation. Elizabeth had good reason not to marry. She had witnessed the mistakes of Mary, Queen of Scots, her cousin, resisting the idea of being ruled by a woman. The Scots expected Mary to marry, and marry wisely. To wed a foreigner would be unpopular. To favor any particular noble house would open up terrible rivalries. In the end, Mary chose Lord Darnley, a Catholic. In doing so, she incurred the wrath of Scotland's Protestants, and endless turmoil ensued. Elizabeth knew that marriage can often lead to a female ruler's undoing. By marrying and committing to an alliance with one party or nation, the queen becomes embroiled in conflicts that are not of her choosing. Interesting. Conflicts which may eventually overwhelm her or lead her into a futile war. Also, the husband becomes the de facto ruler and often tries to do away with the wife, the queen, as Darnley tried to get rid of Mary. Elizabeth learned the lesson well. She had two goals as a ruler: to avoid marriage and to avoid war. She managed to combine these goals by dangling the possibility of marriage in order to forge alliances. The moment she committed to any single suitor would have been the moment she lost her power. She had to emanate mystery and desirability, never discouraging anyone's hopes but never yielding. Through this lifelong game of flirting and withdrawing, Elizabeth dominated the country, and every man who sought to conquer her as the center of attention, she was in control. Keeping her independence above all, Elizabeth protected her power and made herself an object of worship. I would rather be a beggar and single than a queen and married. Ooh, Queen Elizabeth the First, 1533 to 1603. Wow, guys, what did you think of that? That was very that was very encouraging. That was a cute. I love that story. Like, sometimes when I read the other stories, it's very very cutthroat, but this one I felt like it was really cute. What did you think? Okay. Keys to power. Since power depends greatly on appearances, you must learn the tricks that will enhance your image. Refusing to commit to a person or group is one of these. When you hold yourself back, you incur not anger, but a kind of respect. You instantly seem powerful because you make yourself ungraspable. Anybody? Rather than succumbing to the group or to the relationship as most people do, this aura of power only grows with time. As your reputation for independence grows, more and more people will come to desire you, wanting to be the one to get you to commit. Desire is like a virus. If we see that someone is desired by other people, we tend to find this person desirable too. Interesting, interesting. Like, you know those people that are popular because, or like everybody thinks they're pretty just because they're popular or just because they're known, but they're like mid. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to, hold on 1 second, guys. I'm about to go put some Vicks, because my nose is getting stuffy. So give me 25 seconds, please. Ugh, if you've waited, thank you. Bye, Taliba. Have fun. Sorry. Thank you for waiting, guys. I needed to clear my air paths. Okay. Back to what we were talking about. Ooh, this is like low-key really close to my eyes. Like, I just put Vicks like right here, and right here. Like my chest and my back. Woo! Okay. I feel a lot better. Oh my god. Also, guys, little life update. Things are going really, really good right now. I'm really, really happy. I'm focusing on myself. I've been working out every day, and I'm like thriving at work right now. So I'm really, really happy right now. Things come in waves. Thank you, and don't worry, I will come back. Okay, we'll see you later, Taliba. Have fun, and I hope your food tastes amazing. Okay, so you instantly seem powerful because you make yourself ungraspable. Rather than succumbing to the group or to the relationship as most people do, this aura of power only grows with time. As your reputation for independence grows, more and more people will come to desire you, wanting to be the one that gets you to commit. Desire is like a virus. If we see that someone is desired by other people, we tend to find this person desirable too. The moment you commit, the magic is gone. Sorry, I tried to make some effects, but this is like live, so I can't edit it. The magic is gone, and you become like everyone else. People will try all kinds of underhanded methods to get you to commit. They will give you gifts, shower you with favors, all to put you under obligation, encourage the attention, stimulate their interest, but do not commit at any cost. Accept the gifts and favors if you so desire. But be careful to maintain your inner aloofness. You cannot inadvertently allow yourself to feel obligated to anyone. Remember, though, the goal is not to put people off or to make it seem that you are incapable of commitment. Like the Virgin Queen, you need to stir the pot, excite interest, lure people with the possibility of having you. You have to bend to their attention occasionally. Then, but never too far. The Greek soldier and statesman Alcibiades played this game to perfection. It was Alcibiades who inspired and led the massive Athenian armada that invaded Sicily in 414. Hi, Mustafa. Hey, welcome to the live. Where was I? In 414 BC, when envious Athenians backed home tried to bring him down by accusing him of trumped up charges, he defected to the enemy, the Spartans. Sparta. I actually pause. Back in middle school, guys, when I was in middle school, me and we had to do a project on Greece, and the Greek town or city state that I was set to was Sparta. So Sparta has always been just like a love of mine. I really want to go. So it's one of my bucket list places to go to is Sparta in Greece. It's still there. Okay. The Spartans, instead of facing a trial back at home, then after the Athenians were defeated at Syracuse, he left Sparta for Persia. Even though the power of Sparta was now on the rise, now, however, both the Athenians and Spartans courted Alcibiades, 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 I don't know, because of his influence with the Persians. And the Persians showered him with honors because of his power over the Athenians and the Spartans. He made promises to every side but committed to none. And in the end, he held all the cards. If you aspire to power and influence, try the Alcibiades tactic. Put yourself in the middle between competing powers. Lure on one side with the promise of your help, and the other always wanting to outdo its enemy will pursue you as well. As each side vies for your attention, You will immediately seem a person of great influence and desirability. More power will accrue to you than if you had rashly committed to one side. To perfect this tactic, you need to keep yourself inwardly free from emotional entanglements and to view all those around you as pawns in your rise to the top. You cannot let yourself become the lackey for any cause. In the midst of the 1968 U.S. presidential election, Henry Kissinger made a phone call to Richard Nixon's team. Kissinger, hi Asil, welcome to the live. Kissinger had been allied with Nelson Rockefeller, who had unsuccessfully sought the Republican nomination. Now Kissinger offered to supply Nixon camp with valuable inside information on the negotiations for peace in Vietnam that were going on in Paris. He had a man on the negotiating team keeping him informed of the latest developments. The Nixon team gladly accepted his offer. At the same time, however, Kissinger also approached the Democratic nominee, Hubert Humphrey, and offered his aid. Humphrey's people asked him for the inside information on Nixon, and he supplied it. Look, Kissinger told Humphrey's people, I've hated Nixon for years. In fact, he had no interest in either side. What he really wanted was what he got. The promise of a high-level cabinet post from both Nixon and Humphrey. Whichever man won the election, Kissinger's career was secured. You gotta see the bigger picture. You gotta see the bigger picture. The winner, of course, was Nixon, and Kissinger duly went on his cabinet's post. Even so, he was careful never to appear too much of a Nixon man. When Nixon was re-elected in 1972, men much more loyal to him than Kissinger were fired. Kissinger was also the only Nixon high official to survive Watergate and serve under the next president, General Ford. Hi, Ram. How am I? I'm doing very well. How are you? Welcome to the live. Was that good? Oh my God, I've been here for 20 minutes already. I need to hurry up. Okay. By maintaining a little distance, he thrived in turbulent times. Those who use this strategy often notice a strange phenomenon. People who rush to the support of others tend to gain little respect in the process, for their help is so easily obtained, while those who stand back and find themselves besieged with supplicants, their aloofness is powerful, and everyone wants them on their side. India, where am I from? I'm from the U.S. I'm from the United States. You know, my grandma is actually from India. Well, a few generations. But somewhere down there. But welcome from India. Okay. Where am I? When Picasso, after early years of poverty, had become the most successful artist in the world, he did not commit himself to this dealer or that dealer, although they now besieged him from all sides with attractive offers and grand promises. Instead, he appeared to have no interest in their services. This technique drove them wild, and as they fought over his prices, his prices only rose. When Henry Kissinger, as U.S. Secretary of State, wanted to reach detente with the Soviet Union, he made no concession or conciliatory gesture, but courted China instead. This infuriated and also scared the Soviets. They were already politically isolated and feared further isolation if the United States and China came together. And Kissinger's move pushed them to the negotiating table. The tactic has a parallel in seduction. When you want to seduce a woman, Stendhal advises, court her sister first. Huh? Stay aloof and people will come to you. It will become a challenge for them to win your affections. As long as you imitate the wise virgin queen and stimulate their hopes, you will remain a magnet of attention and desire. Image. Yes, dear India, you are very nice. Thank you. Hello, Taliba. Welcome back. Thank you, and thank you. You are very nice as well, Ram. Okay. Imagine this. Okay, guys. So, close your eyes unless you're driving or handling heavy machinery, or you're doing something where you cannot close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine this and listen, okay? The Virgin Queen, the center of attention, desire, and worship, never succumbing to one suitor or to the other. The Virgin Queen keeps them all revolving around her like planets, unable to leave her orbit, but never getting any closer to her. Interesting. Okay, authority. Do not commit yourself to anybody or anything, for that is to be a slave to every man. Above all, keep yourself free of commitments and obligations. They are the device of another to get you into his power. Baltasar Gracian, 1601 to 1658. All right. Now let's get into part 2, okay? All right. Do not commit to... Okay, guys. Actually, we're going to take another brief intermission, just because I have to blow my nose. I'm getting sick. Oh, my God. There's, like, some people that are sick at my job, and I'm not even going to try to speak it on to me, but I just sneeze, and give me another 25 seconds. Subscribed. Thank you, Ram. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make some tea. But guys, who has been, you liked, oh my goodness, Ram, thank you so much. Thank you for showing love. Who is ready to get into part numero dos? Ow, Kushni. Oh, look who is here. Our special guest, Kushni. Okay, Kushni, say hey to everybody. Hey, 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 hey. All right, guys, let's read. Okay, Kushni. Sit, baby. Excuse me. Thank you. Off, 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 off. That's side eye. Dog love, right? Okay, sit, baby, sit. Listen, all right? All right. Part 2. Do not commit to anyone. Oh! Guys, she just went on my book. Girl, if you don't get off my book. Girl, get off of me. Get off. Get off, girl. Okay. Okay, Kushni. Off, off, off. Off, 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 off. Thank you. I need to read. I need to finish this. Stay above the fray. Okay. Do not let people drag you into their petty fights and squabbles. Seem interested and supportive, but find a way to remain neutral. Let others do the fighting while you stand back and watch and wait. When the fighting parties are good and tired, they will be ripe for the picking. And you can make a practice, in fact, to stir up quarrels between other people and then offer to mediate in gaining powers as the go-between. Observance of the law. In the late 15th century, the strongest city-states in Italy, Venice, Florence, Rome, and Milan, found themselves constantly squabbling. However, above their struggles were nations of France and Spain, ready to grab whatever they could from the weakened Italian powers. And trapped in the middle was the small state of Mantua, ruled by the young Duke Gianfrancesco Gonzaga. Mantua was strategically located in northern Italy, and it seemed only a matter of time before one of the powers swallowed it up and it ceased to exist as an independent kingdom. What does that mean? Ram, what does that mean? Can you explain that one for me? Sorry if my lip looks crazy. I put more Vicks on my face, guys. Yeah, what does that mean, Ram? Mantua was strategically located in northern Italy, and it seemed only a matter of time before one of the powers swallowed it up and it ceased as an independent kingdom. Gonzaga was a forest warrior and skilled commander of troops, and he became a kind mercenary general for whatever side paid him best. In the year 1490, he married Isabel d'Este, daughter of the ruler of another smaller Italian duchy, Ferrara. Since he now spent most of his time away from Mantua, it fell to Isabel to rule in his stead. Isabella's first true test as a ruler came in 1498 when King Louis the 12th of France was preparing armies to attack Milan. In their usual perfidious fashion, the Italian states immediately looked for ways to profit from Milan's difficulties. Pope Alexander VI promised not to intervene, thereby giving the French carte blanche. The Venetians signaled that they would not help Milan either. In exchange for this, they hoped the French would give them Mantua. The ruler of Milan, Lodovico Sforza, friends, also rumored to be his lover, and begged her to persuade Duke Gonzaga to come to his aid. Isabella tried, but her husband balked, for he saw Sforzo's cause as hopeless. And so, in 1499, Louis swooped down on Milan and took it with ease. Isabella now faced a dilemma. If she stayed loyal to Lodovico, the French would now make a move against her. But if instead she allied herself with France, she would now make enemies elsewhere in Italy, compromising Mantua once Louis eventually withdrew. And if she looked to Venice or Rome for help, they would simply swallow Mantua under the cloak of coming to her aid. Yet she had to do something. The mighty king of France was breathing down her neck. She decided to befriend him, as she had befriended Lodovico Sforza before him, with alluring gifts, witty, intelligent letters, and the possibility of her company. For Isabella was famous as a woman of incomparable beauty and charm. In 1500, Louis invited Isabella to a great party in Milan. To celebrate his victory, Leonardo da Vinci built an enormous mechanical lion for an affair. When the lion opened its mouth, it spewed fresh lilies, the symbol of French royalty. At the party, Isabella wore one of her celebrated dresses. She had by far the largest wardrobe of any of the Italian princesses, and and just as she had hoped, she charmed and captivated Louis, who ignored all the other ladies vying for his attention. She soon became his constant companion. And in exchange for her friendship, he pledged to protect Mantua's independence from Venice. As one danger receded, however, another more worrying one arose, this time from the south, in the form of Cesare Borgia. Starting in 1500, Borgia had marched steadily northward, gobbling up all the small kingdoms in his path, in the name of his father, Pope Alexander. Isabella understood Cesare perfectly. He could be neither trusted nor in any way offended. He had to be cajoled and kept at arm's length. Isabella began by sending him gifts, falcons, prize dogs, perfumes, and dozens of masks, which she knew he always wore when he walked the streets of Rome. She sent messengers with flattering greetings, although these messengers always acted as her spies. At one point, sorry, messengers acted as her spies. At one point, Cesar asked if he could house some troops in Mantua. Isabella managed to dissuade him politely, knowing full and well that once troops were quartered in the city, they would never leave. Even while Isabella was charming Cesar, she convinced everyone around her to take care never to utter a harsh word about him, since he had spies everywhere, and would use the slightest pretext for invasion. When Isabella had a child, she asked Cesar to be the godfather. She even dangled in front of him the possibility of a marriage between her family and his. Somehow it all worked, and for although everywhere he seized and everything in his path, he spared Mantua. In 1503, Cesar's father, Alexander, died, and a few years later, the new Pope, Julius II, went to war to drive the French troops from Italy. When the ruler of Ferrara, Alfonso, Isabella's brother, sided with the French, Julius decided to attack and humble him. Once again, Isabella found herself in the middle, the Pope on one side and the French and her brother on the other. She dared not to ally herself with either, but to offend either would be equally disastrous. Again, she played the double game at which she had become so expert. On the one hand, she got her husband Gonzaga to fight for the Pope, knowing he would not fight very hard. On the other, she let French troops pass through Mantua to come to Ferrara's aid. While she publicly complained that French had invaded her territory, she privately supplied them with valuable information. To make the invasion plausible to Julius, she even had the French pretend to plunder Mantua. It worked once again. The Pope left Mantua alone. In 1513, after a lengthy siege, Julius defeated Ferrara, and the French troops withdrew. Worn out by the effort, the Pope died a few months later. With his death, the nightmarish cycle of battles and petty squabbles began to repeat itself. A great deal changed in Italy during Isabella's reign. Popes came and went. Cesare Borgia rose and then fell. Venice lost its empire. Milan was invaded. Florence fell into decline, and Rome was sacked by the Habsburg Emperor Charles V. Through all this, tiny Mantua not only survived but thrived. In its court, the envy of Italy. Its wealth and sovereignty would remain intact for a century after Isabella's death in 1539. Aw, that's so sweet. Okay, the kites, the crows, and the fox. All right, listen to this little fable story, short story, whatever we want to call it. The kites and the crows made an agreement among themselves that they should go halves in everything obtained in the forest. One day they saw a fox that had been wounded by hunters lying helpless under a tree, and gathered round it. And the crows said, "We will take the upper half of the fox. Then we will take the lower half," said the kites. The fox laughed at this and said, "I always thought the kites were superior in creation to the crows, as they must get the upper half of my body, of which my head with the brain and other delicate things in it form a portion." "Oh yes, that is right," said the kites. "We will have the part of the fox." "Not at all," said the crows. "We must have it as already agreed." Then a war arose between the rival parties, and a great many fell on both sides, and the remaining few escaped with difficulty. The fox continued there for some days, leisurely feeding on the dead kites and crows, and then left the place hale and hearty, observing, "The weak benefit by quarrels of the mighty." And that is an Indian fable. All right, now let's go ahead and get into this other red story. Men of great abilities are slow to act, for it is easier to avoid occasions for committing yourself than to come well out of commitment. Such occasions test your judgment. It is safer to avoid them than to emerge victorious from them. One obligation leads to a greater one, and you come very near to the brink of disaster. Baltasar Gracian, 1601 to 1658. Man, who is this Baltasar Gracian guy? Because this guy, he has a lot of quotes and stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into an interpretation of the story that I just read about Princess Isabella. Isabella d'Este understood Italy's political situation with amazing clarity. Once you took the side of any of the forces in the field, you were doomed. The powerful would take you over, and the weak would wear you down. Any new alliance would lead to a new enemy, and as this cycle stirred up more conflict, other forces would be dragged in until you could no longer extricate yourself. Eventually, you would collapse from exhaustion. Isabella steered her kingdom on the only course that would bring her safely through. She would not allow herself to lose her head through loyalty to a duke or a king, nor would she try to stop a conflict that raged around her that would only drag her into it. And in any case, the conflict was to her advantage. If the various parties were fighting to the death and exhausting themselves in the process, they were in no position to gobble up Mantua. The source of Isabella's power was her clever ability to seem interested in the affairs and the interests of each side, while actually committing to no one but herself and her kingdom. Once you step into the fight that is not of your own choosing, you lose all initiative. The combatant's interest becomes your interest. You become their tool. Learn to control yourself, to restrain your natural tendency to take sides and join the fight. Be friendly and charming to each of the combatants, then step back as they collide. And with every battle, they grow weaker, while you grow stronger with every battle you avoid. When the snipe and the mussel struggle, the fisherman gets the benefit. Ancient Chinese saying. All right, keys to power. To succeed in the game of power, you have to master your emotions. But even if you succeed in gaining your such self-control, you can never control the temperamental dispositions of those around you. And this presents a great danger. Most people operate in a whirlpool of emotions, constantly reacting, churning up squabbles and conflicts. Your self control and autonomy will only bother and infuriate them. They will try to draw you into the whirlpool, begging you to take sides in their endless battle or to make peace for them. If you succumb to their emotional and entreaties, little by little, you will find your mind and time occupied by their problems. Do not allow whatever compassion and pity you possess to suck you in. You can never win in this game. The conflicts will only multiply. On the other hand, you cannot completely stand aside for that would cause needless offense. To play the game properly, you must seem interested in other people's problems, even sometimes appear to take their side. But while you make outward gestures of support, you must maintain your inner energy and sanity by keeping your emotions disengaged. No matter how hard people try to pull you in, never let your interest in their affairs and petty squabbles go beyond the surface. Give them gifts, listen with a sympathetic look, even occasionally play the charmer. But inwardly keep both the friendly kings and perfidious Borgias at arm's length. By refusing to commit and thus maintaining your autonomy, you retain the initiative. Your motives stay matters of your own choosing, not defensive reactions to the push and pull of those around you. Slowness to pick up your weapons can be a weapon itself, especially if you let other people exhaust themselves fighting. Then take advantage of their exhaustion. In ancient China, the kingdom of Qin once invaded the kingdom of Hizing. Hun, the Hun, the ruler of a nearby province, thought he should rush to Hizing's defense, but his advisor counseled him to wait. Xing is not yet going to ruin, he said, and Qin is not yet exhausted. If Qin is not yet exhausted, we cannot become very influential. Moreover, the merit of supporting a state in danger is not as great as the virtue of reviving a ruined one. The advisor's argument won the day, and as he had predicted, Hun later had the glory of both rescuing Hizing from the brink of destruction and then of conquering an exhausted Qin. He stayed out of the fight until the forces engaged in it had worn each other down, at which point it was safe for him to intervene. That is what holding back from the fray allows you. Time to position yourself to take advantage of the situation once one side starts to lose. You can also take the game a step further by promising your support to both sides in a conflict while maneuvering so that the one to come out ahead in the struggle is you. That is what Castruccio Castracani, ruler of the Italian town of Lucca in the 14th century, did when he had designs on the town of Pistoia. A siege would have been expensive, costing both lives and money, but Castruccio knew that Pistoia contained two rival factions, the blacks and the whites, which hated one another. He negotiated with the blacks, promising to help them against the whites. Then, without their knowledge, he promised the whites that he would help them against the blacks. And Castruccio kept his promises. He sent an army to the black-controlled gate to the city, which the sentries, of course, welcomed in. Meanwhile, another of his armies entered through the white-controlled gate. The two armies, united in the middle, occupied the town and killed the leaders of both factions, and ended the internal war, and took Pistoia for Castruccio. Preserving your autonomy gives you options. When people come to blows, you can play the mediator, broker, the peace, while really securing your own interests. You can pledge support to one side, and the other may have to court you with a higher bid. Or like Castruccio, you can appear to take both sides and play the antagonists against each other. Oftentimes, when a conflict breaks out, you are tempted to side with the stronger party, or the one that offers you apparent advantages in alliance. This is risky business. First, it is often difficult to foresee which side will prevail in the long run. Even if you guess right and ally yourself with the stronger party, you may find yourself swallowed up in loss or conveniently forgotten when they become victors. Side with the weaker, on the other hand, and you are doomed. By playing a waiting game you cannot lose. In France's July Revolution of 1830, after 3 days of riots, the statesman Talleyrand, now elderly, sat by his Paris window listening to the pealing bells that signaled the riots were over. Turning to an assistant, he said, "Ah, the bells, we're winning. Who's we, mon prince?" The assistant asked, gesturing for the man to keep quiet. Talleyrand replied, "Not a..." Off, Christian, I'm almost done. "Not a word. I'll tell you who we are tomorrow." He well knew that only fools rush into a situation, that by committing too quickly you lose your maneuverability. People also respect you less. Perhaps tomorrow they think you will commit to another different cause. Since you gave yourself so easily to this one, good fortune is a fickle god and will often pass from one side to the other. Commitment to one side deprives you of the advantage of time and luxury and of waiting. Let others fall in love with this group or that. For your part, don't rush in and don't lose your head. Finally, there are occasions when it is wisest to drop all the pretense of appearing supportive and instead to trumpet your independence and self-reliance. Okay, guys, let me hurry up. Finally, there is occasions when it's wisest to drop all pretense of appearing supportive and instead to trumpet your independence and self-reliance. The aristocratic pose of independence is particularly important for those who need to gain respect. George Washington recognized this in his work to establish a young American republic on firm ground. As president, Washington avoided the temptation of making an alliance with France or England. Despite the pressure to him to do so, he wanted the country to earn the world's respect through its independence. Although a treaty with France might have helped in the short term, in the long run he knew it would be more effective to establish a nation's autonomy. Europe would have to see the United States as an equal power. Remember, you have only so much energy and so much time. Every moment wasted on the affairs of others subtracts from your strength. You may be afraid that people will condemn you as heartless, but in the end, maintaining your independence and self-reliance will gain you more respect and place you in a position of power from which you can choose to help others on your own initiative. Now, close your eyes and imagine this: a thicket of shrubs. In the forest, one shrub latches to another, entangling its neighbor with its thorns, the thicket slowly extending its impenetrable domain. Only what keeps its distance and stands apart can grow and rise above the thicket. Authority. Regarding it as more courageous not to become involved in the engagement than to win in the battle is where there is already one infuriating fool. Two can be there, shall not be two. Baltasar Gracian. Reversal. Both parts of this law will turn against you if you take it too far. The game proposed here is delicate and difficult. If you play too many parties against one another, they will see through the maneuver and will gang up against you. If you keep the growing number of suitors waiting too long, you will inspire not desire but distrust. People will start to lose interest. Eventually, you may find it worthwhile to commit to one side. If only for appearance's sake you prove you are a capable attachment. Get off of that. Even then, however, the key is to maintain your inner independence. To keep yourself from getting emotionally involved, preserve the unspoken option of being able to leave at any moment and reclaim your freedom if the side you are allied with starts to collapse. The friends you made while you were being courted will give you plenty of places to go once you jump ship. Now, let me just read this really quickly. The eagle and the sow. An eagle built a nest on a tree and hatched out some eaglets. and a wild sow brought her litter under the tree. The eagle used to fly off to her prey and bring it back to her young. And the sow rooted around the tree and hunted the woods, and when its night came, she would bring her young something to eat. And the eagle and the sow lived in the neighborly fashion. And the Grimlakin laid her plans to destroy the eaglets and the little sucking pigs. She wanted the eagle and said, "Eagle, you had better not fly very far away. Beware of the sow. She is planning on the evil design. She is going to undermine the roots of the tree. You see the rooting all the time." And the Grimlakin went to the sow and said, "Sow, you have not a good neighbor. Last evening I heard the eagle saying to her eaglets, 'My dear little eaglets, I am going to treat you a nice little pig. Just as soon as the sow is gone, I will bring you a little young sucking pig.' From that time, the eagle ceased to fly out after prey, and the sow did not go any more in the forest. The eaglets and the young pigs perished of starvation, and the Gremlin feasted on them." Fables, Leo Tolstoy, 1928 to 1910. Interesting. The price of envy. While a poor woman stood in the marketplace selling cheeses, a cat came along and carried off the cheese. A dog saw the pilfer and tried to take away the cheese from him. The cat stood up to the dog, so they pitched up into each other. The dog barked and snapped, the cat spat and scratched, but they could bring the battle to no decision. "Let's go to the fox and have him referee the matter," the cat finally suggested. "Agreed," said the dog. So they went to the fox, and the fox listened to their arguments with the judicious airs. "Foolish animals," he chided them. "Why carry on like that? If both of you are willing, I'll divide the cheese in two, and you'll both be satisfied." "Agreed," said the cat and the dog. So the fox took out his knife and cut the cheese in two, but instead of cutting it lengthwise, he cut it with wit. My half is smaller," protested the dog. The fox looked judiciously through his spectacles at the dog's share. "You're right, quite right," he decided. So he went and bit off a piece of the cat's share. "That will make it even," he said. And when the cat saw what the fox did, she began to yowl. "Just look, my part's smaller now," the fox said, put on his spectacle, and looked judicially at the cat's share. "Right you are," said the fox. "Just a moment, I'll make it right." And he went and just bit off a piece from the dog's cheese. This went on so long, with the fox nibbling first at the dog's and then at the cat's share. Then he finally ate the whole cheese before their eyes. The Treasury of the Jewish Folklore by Nathan Osbel, ed. 1948. Okay, guys, that is it. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading along. Subscribe if you vibe, and see you next time. Bye.